Hello and welcome to the Film Nerds Podcast, the podcast which gives you the rundown on all the movies that came out the previous month, or at least all the ones we saw, because since this is our first podcast and we're starting a bit later in the year, this first episode is going to be detailing all the movies that came out in January and February for a special mega first episode.
Mega.
I'm Josh.
I'm Paul.
And I'm Cameron.
You can tell this is our first podcast.
And we are the Film Nerds Podcast.
Yes, we are.
Woo! All right.
First off, I should probably mention, if you're listening to us on iTunes or Spotify, we also have a YouTube channel that this podcast actually stemmed from. This podcast is mainly for our more in-depth and lengthy discussions, but the YouTube channel, you can still find fun parodies of movies and reviews of movies with a whole variety of people, and so you should definitely check out the Film Nerds on YouTube.
Yeah.
Yes, you should.
Be more of a little quick take, I suppose.
And if you're listening to, and if you're one of our YouTube fans and are listening to this podcast on YouTube, then you should subscribe to us on iTunes and Spotify if you can.
And leave us a review on iTunes or the Apple Podcast thing. It really helps out.
So the goal of this podcast is for us to talk in depth about all the movies that we saw over the previous month. Obviously, we can't talk about every single movie that came out the previous month because we are still in college and broke.
And money is an object.
Yeah.
That we do not have.
We do not.
We don't have it. Yeah, I saw 7 movies over the past 2 months.
Yes, I've also seen 7.
But not all of them overlap.
Not all.
So to prevent this podcast from being too long, I think we should limit it to a 10-minute discussion per movie. Yes. Like if we get a shorter amount of time, then great, but probably no longer than 10 minutes.
So do we want to start with like the ones that are all seen or less seen?
What if we just like go in order?
Okay, let's do it.
Of release date.
Of release.
So,
I don't know when they're released.
Okay. First, should we like say something about ourselves? They only know our
names.
names.
Oh yeah, sure.
Yeah,
Josh, go ahead.
I don't know what to say because I always, whenever you're in a group introducing yourself, I always say I make movies.
I'm a film major.
Yeah. So I'm Josh. I'm 19 years old. I'm a freshman film major, and yeah, this is my first podcast, and I don't know what to say. I like scarves. That's an interesting fact about me.
True. I see him. Sometimes he only wears scarves.
He's rocking
only
scarves.
Yeah.
Only scarves.
Sometimes I'm just walking around our room wearing just a scarf. Maybe this should be a thing. Like every podcast, we introduce a new interesting fact about ourselves.
Yeah, alrighty. So I'm Paul. I'm 18, and I almost cursed. I almost said a swear.
It's bound to happen at some point.
That's true. And I'm a freshman film major, and I wear hoodies. Only hoodies.
Yes. All right. I'm Cameron. I am also 19, like Josh.
Woo!
And I'm a freshman film major, and I just love movies, and they are my passion in life.
What's an interesting fact?
Well, I have blue shoes.
Alrighty.
Yeah. You do have blue shoes.
Blue shoes, hoodies, scarves. We can almost wear it. We can almost go outside. We just need pants.
Yeah.
Alright. Alrighty. Well,
so movies.
So do you have the release dates?
The earliest movie that was released this year that the three of us saw was Glass.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Glass.
Which you actually reviewed for our school paper.
I did.
This man did.
So
check out the school paper.
They don't even know where we go to school.
Yeah, I was about to say. I was like,
school paper.
Alrighty. Well, I guess let's start with Glass.
Yes.
Oh wait, no. Shoot, Escape Room was the first release.
Oh, that's right. Okay, yeah.
Ooh, let's start with Glass since all of us saw that one.
Let's do Glass. So Glass.
All right. An incredibly disappointing end to
Such
a
a disappointing
everything.
Man.
Also, I feel like we should say right now, before we actually get into these reviews, I think we're going to spoil these movies. And so, if you want to see these movies, if they're still in theaters for some of them, then just skip over the part where we talk about this movie.
We might have timestamps, do you think?
Yeah, I'll try and get timestamps in so that if you don't want to know what we think about a certain movie, if you want to wait to see it, then you can skip over that part.
Alrighty.
So
Glass. Such a disappointment.
Yeah, it's
Should we first describe like the history of M. Night Shyamalan and the history of this quote unquote
this
franchise?
secret little trilogy kind of.
Well, I mean, I I wrote a review on it, so M. Night Shyamalan, he started off really strong with Sixth Sense and Unbreakable. I think those are two really good films. And I think Signs also is a good film. I don't know if it's a good story, but it's a good film. Well-made film. Competently made film. And then, like, the next 4 movies, Lady in the Water,
The Village, The Happening, Last Airbender, After Earth.
Yeah, not great.
The Happening is so entertaining, though.
It is very entertaining.
But it's awesome.
It's very entertaining, yeah. It's true. Shyamalan's kind of had a funk. He recently had a comeback a little bit. The Visit, which I don't like, but a lot of people liked it.
I thought it was fun.
It's okay.
Yeah. Well, okay, compared to Happening and Last Airbender.
Anything is good.
Well, yeah,
but the real comeback came with Split.
Split, which was written at around the same time he wrote Unbreakable and The Sixth Sense, but it was held off for a while, and then he made it, and it was really good.
The character was actually supposed to originally be in Unbreakable.
Yeah,
but he was like, I can't do it.
Yeah, and so at the end of Split, there was a little surprise and. Was that in credit scene or just the end?
Just like at the end.
Because I never saw Split. Yeah, so at the end there's a little surprise David Dunn from Unbreakable thing, and they're like, "Oh my God, it's happening!" And so everyone geared up for 2019 for the release. Brings us to Glass.
Yes.
A crossover between these two movies,
and it sucks. And it's just not a good movie.
It's not. I don't think it's terrible. It's
pretty bad.
I don't think it's terrible either.
It has moments that I think really work, and then there's some parts, mainly in the third act, that are just.
But the moments are just few and far between. I think.
I feel like I'm actually in the minority. The third act is my favorite part of the movie.
Yeah. Really?
Yeah.
I like some of the third act, but I'm mainly talking about like the last 5 minutes. That I'm just like,
yeah, that's a little weird.
That's a little rancid.
The whole movie's just so.
The way
slow.
they handle David, like.
Let's organize our thoughts.
Have you seen both of them, Cameron?
Yeah, I've seen both of them.
You've only seen.
I've only seen Unbreakable.
I've only seen Split.
Okay, there we go.
So
nice...
Cameron is the only one that's credible. So
stop it.
Well, we all saw them. I think we're all credible.
But yeah, so I didn't understand a lot of what was happening in the beginning, and a part of that's my fault for just not seeing Unbreakable. But I feel like there are so many basic storytelling things that I just couldn't understand. Like Samuel L. Jackson never talking for such a long period of the movie. I did not understand why that was happening.
They kind of justify that whenever he's like, oh, I've been acting like I'm, diagnosed, sedated, but like,
yeah, and that weird like cut in of like his perspective at that one point where he's just like, gotta get your vitamins. Yeah, and it's like right up in his face. Like, that was really weird. But yeah.
Yes.
The intro was I think it was it wasn't horrible. I think it was one of the more enjoyable moments.
The beginning?
The very beginning.
Like the Superman punch thing?
Oh no, not that.
Oh, okay.
No. Like when he starts hunting down
the
Split guy, Kevin. Yeah. I thought that was a bit more enjoyable because it was kind of, it felt like something was happening.
Whoa.
Yeah. I mean, it did. It felt like, he had a goal, he was going to get it, and then he found him, and, oh boy, something's about to happen.
He's over there, Dad. Go get him, Dad.
Yeah. And then the next, hour, well, it was decently interesting at first, and then it just got real boring. Because they just kept repeating. They kept repeating the same information to us that we could gather in 15 minutes.
And also, I think one of this movie's biggest problems is that it can't pick a protagonist.
No, it doesn't have a protagonist.
There are 3 main characters, and even then, it keeps pretty much dividing it between the 3 of them, and also Sarah Paulson, also the son, and Anya Taylor-Joy. Yeah,
and dude. Have a main character, please.
Yeah.
Just, show
and
us.
I can never become emotionally attached to many of the characters just because...
You just don't get enough time with them.
Right. Yeah. The only one that I thought was really cool was James McAvoy, but that's because I've seen Split.
Well, it's also because his performance is
it's so great. But, even though I haven't even seen Split, I found him to be the most interesting character because he actually did something with him. David Dunn was just kind of relegated to the room for half the movie, and then nothing... he doesn't do anything, and then Glass is sedated. it for half.
Yeah, and that's what sucks because like Unbreakable is like it's the origin story. Like it's his origin story, and like I was completely fine with it because Unbreakable doesn't really have any action in it at all.
No, and I
was fine with that. And I was like, maybe if he makes another movie, then we'll get to see the crime fighting stuff. Mm-hmm. And this is what we give him. Yeah, this is what we give David Dunn: a puddle. A puddle. A puddle. That oh my gosh.
Okay, can we talk about the third act now?
Yeah, let's do it.
Because
let's do it.
So I actually liked the fact that this is supposed to be the big superhero fight at the end of the movie, and they have this big plan to go to this really populated location. But since they're still weak with their powers and they haven't had the proper training, it ends up not working out for any of them. This big fight ends up happening just in a parking lot with a few spectators. And I feel like that actually made the moment more intimate for me instead of relying on typical superhero spectacle. Yeah. So, I mean, like I said, I haven't seen Unbreakable, and so, like, I wasn't mad when Bruce Willis died the way he did, just because I haven't really seen, I haven't really gotten the importance of his character since he's hardly in class. But I enjoyed the climax. Plus, it's also so visually beautiful. Like, just the cinematography, I really liked.
I disagree. I thought it was just boring. I mean...
The cinematography?
Yeah.
I thought it was really just slick and
there was,
clean. And
like, there's a couple things that I find interesting. Like, the colors I thought were nice. But other than that, it was just kind of like, why...
No, but I'm with Josh. I like that the third act, that it didn't have to do the whole, well, we gotta fight at the building. Like that whole thing. Like, and I kind of liked how it took place in the parking lot. And I love that shot whenever he tackles him against the van. And it's inside the van, and he's like punching, and you can see the holes.
Yeah, well, in there and stuff like that. And I get that, but I'm like, I don't know. When it was over, I was like, that was it.
Really?
Yeah, there was no. I didn't feel any satisfaction, and it's not that I'm expecting this huge like fight. I'm just expecting some sort of like storyline resolution or even like storyline climax, and nothing about it felt climactic. But other than the fact that this was the place where the climax goes.
But the kid ran in and had to tell you the big plot twist.
Oh my god! Yeah, the big plot twist.
I will say though, I did become a lot more disappointed in the ending of the movie when I found out that this was the last movie in this franchise. I thought it was setting up for a universe, but
yeah, that was it.
I also like the idea of having a world where there's an organization who doesn't want superheroes to exist, and so they convince the world that superheroes don't.
I don't mind that idea.
What was that sound?
Whoa. Sometimes my fire alarm just kind of does that.
Oh.
It just kind of beeps.
Okay. Yikes.
Yeah. So yeah, sorry if you hear a giant like that's my fire alarm.
What were we talking about?
The twist with Sarah Paulson's character.
I like the idea of there being an organization out there, but I just thought they executed that so poorly.
Yeah, it wasn't the greatest.
Yeah, like I mean, like I understand that. I just think it, like, well, I don't know. It's just kind of silly to me. Like, you make a government organization to subdue superheroes, but like, there's so many other purposes for superheroes. Why don't you just kidnap them and use their powers for serving the government? Or like, I don't know, endless possibilities. Study them and dissect them, which is, I mean, kind of a cliche. But
they don't want the people to know, or like.
But that doesn't make. But like,
I don't know. It's pretty. It's pretty lazy.
Plus, I think it barely qualifies as a twist because they play it off as a twist, but all it really is just an answer to the question: what is Sarah Paulson's motivation? Because they don't really give her anything.
They don't give her anything.
Well, they give her a little bit.
Oh, our timer went off.
Timer is done.
Well, our 10 minutes are up, but we can keep talking a little since I think all three of us saw this movie. So
yeah, they gave her a little bit of motivation, which is like, you know, she's studying these people who she believes are having delusions. That's her specialty, and so that's what she's doing. I think that kind of makes it makes sense.
Her performance is just so bland.
It's so it's so bland.
She's kind of on autopilot.
What is up, guys? You are superheroes. Da, 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 da. I'm like, really?
It's not great.
And I love Sarah Paulson. And she's so like charismatic and can do all this stuff, and then just like like, really?
Yeah, like, she's just like a talking head.
Plus that scream at the end. Oh man.
That reminds me of Drew Barrymore's in Donnie Darko.
Oh God.
So should we start on the next?
Let's give our ratings first. Okay, I think what we're going to do is we're going to rate each movie on a scale of 0 to 10. And yes, 0 is an option if it is just that bad. But they're going to be averaged out for a final verdict. And then at the end of the video, we're going to rank them based on the final verdict so that you guys can know which movies are the best and which are the worst.
The best.
Yeah.
So for Glass, my rating is a 4.
3.
5.
Well, that makes math easy for me.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. There you go. So Glass is a 4
out of 10. So my rating was correct.
Well.
Alrighty. So what's next?
Next, let's go for Escape Room,
Yeah, that's true.
which you and me saw.
Yeah, I saw. Escape Room. I was expecting just a total, utter garbage fire.
That's what the trailers look like.
Yeah, it looked just horrendous.
Really? I thought the trailers looked all right. I mean, I saw the trailers and I was like, this is an interesting concept that could either be really great or really terrible. And so I saw it out of curiosity, and it was pretty much right there in the middle. I think.
I saw it because I was hanging out with a friend, and they were like, "Hey, you want to see a movie?" I was like, "Sure, what movie?" I saw a lot of movies, and so I was like, I haven't seen this, but we could go see Into the Spider-Verse again, but we
Yeah, you told me about that.
Yeah, and they're like, he's like, I want to go see Escape Room, and I was like, okay. So we went to go see Escape Room, and it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
The sets were interesting. I mean, once it got on, it kind of got lazier, but...
Yeah, I think the majority of this movie's problems happened in the last 30 minutes.
Yeah.
But everything leading up to that was a lot of fun. Nothing special. But...
No, nothing special at all, but it was definitely fun. I didn't, want to leave the theater. The sets were interesting, characters were so unlikable, I gotta say. Like, there's like one or two characters that I was like, okay, yeah,
I can tolerate you.
Yeah, I can tolerate you.
There's even that one character who has that line where he says, I feel like I'm playing the world's funnest game with the world's meanest people.
Yeah, and it literally describes the movie.
Wow.
There's just so many unlikable characters. Like, they're like on a range of unlikable. Like, one's so unlikable, it has no redeeming qualities about him, and then like there's like a sweet little shy girl that's like, she's nice.
What about Karen?
Karen's
Yeah.
What's the actress's name?
Deborah Ann Woll.
Okay, I think she gives the best performance in the movie, in my opinion.
I heard she was really good.
She's pretty good.
Yeah, but she dies like second. So
yeah, it's true.
Yeah, Paul told me that. I was like, nah, I'm good.
Yeah.
The only reason I want to see it, I was like, I like that actress.
There's that one room, the like drug room, that just like
I heard that was awful.
it was just like, wow, the editors had a lot of fun in like liquefying the people's faces.
Yeah, they just like went through Snapchat and they were like, let's use this filter for the movie.
Like, what they use in Spy Kids?
Didn't you say that they killed the black guy? Didn't he just like push him over and he hits his head or something?
No, kind of. They're like drugged out of their minds, and so they're like trying to fight to find the antidote. So that eventually they find it and they start fighting over it.
Because at this point there are only 2 people left.
Yeah, and so I guess the secondary main character, I don't know.
What's his name? Martin from Love, Simon.
Yeah, he like
Mm-hmm.
pushes him and like his head hits like a corner and it kills him. Yeah,
but I mean it's okay because they make the black guy the most unlikable character in the movie.
He is awful. Like, he's such a dick in every feasible way. What made my rating lower from like an average score was the ending. It was just such like a what?
Yeah. Well, yeah. So 2 of them managed to survive.
Yeah,
the guy that actually like wins the game, and then one of the girls manages to find a loophole earlier on and escapes.
Wait, before we get into that, the loophole that she finds makes no sense. Well, there's one thing that her professor said once, like, oh, atoms are a thing when they're not watched, but then they become a different thing when they are. And so she's like, that's what I have to do. What? And then so she destroys all the cameras because for some reason they would know what her professor said that like right before this happened, and she starts destroying all the cameras, and then like this gas mask falls from the ceiling, kind of like an airplane. The other characters like do it the way you're supposed to, but she's doing that and going crazy while this poison gas is filling the room. The last thing we see of her is her crawling towards the mask and then passing out.
And we think she dies.
Dies.
Which I didn't really believe because they're setting her up to be the main character.
Yeah, I didn't believe it either. And because mainly, like obviously she wasn't dead. So I was like, well then, how did she make it out? Because she passed out and you would be like, oh, she's acting for the cameras, but there's no cameras. So how did she make it out alive?
Well, because, I mean, she used the gas mask because all of the cameras were turned off, and so she could use that and stay alive without them knowing. I guess when she heard them approaching the door to come and get her body, she just, like, took it off, threw herself on the ground, and acted like she was dead. And then when they come in, they see the gas mask, and they're like, wait, she used the gas mask. What would she need that to do? And then she stands up, grabs, like, a rod and goes, breathe, bitch! And then hits them.
What?
So, basically,
What?
Yeah.
So basically, this whole escape room thing is like, I don't know, it's like rich people do this thing, like a rich organization.
That's how they get their kicks.
Like the Illuminati or something.
Yeah.
They do this yearly. They do a different theme each year, and this year's theme was soul survivors. Yeah. And so everyone there was a soul survivor in an incident. And so, I mean, it gives them at least a decent arc, how they all feel like they're alone and that sort of thing, and they have to overcome their insecurities. So it's a nice arc. But the two people that survive kill the guy that's in charge of it, and they escape. But when they alert the police, they go back to the building that they were at, and everything is gone. Everything.
Everything. And I don't understand, like, whenever you get a police report, I don't know that much about the police, but, like, I would assume that if you're like, hey, there's, like, this crazy thing going on in this building, go check it out. Even if they're injured and in the hospital and can't go with you, shouldn't you just go there and check it out?
Yeah.
Why do you need them to go with you?
Yeah.
Unless it's just magic and the building just disappeared and they're like, you gotta see this.
But, like, the real point is, it cuts to, like, 6 months or 4 months later.
4 months later.
And the two people are doing the typical, like, hey, we're meeting together for lunch to talk about our lives now.
They're, like, dressed up nice, and, like, the shaggy guy has, like, his hair combed back, and he's like, I'm a marketer. Guy. I'm a successful businessman now. 4 months later, he's 16, and then she's like, we can follow him. There's more stuff we can do. And he's like, no, we're not doing it. And she's like, please? And he's like, sure.
So they get on a plane to go somewhere.
There's this, like, teaser for, like, a plane escape room that they have to solve. And the game master he's like a shadowy figure in a camera, and he's like, good, she will never expect this coming.
Is he actually like that?
And then the movie ends.
I mean, not that cheesy, but, like...
But basically
that cheesy. Like, Cobra Commander, like, level.
Well, did you guys hear they confirmed a sequel?
They did?
Yesterday?
Yeah,
well,
so...
Woo!
Maybe your guys' questions will be answered.
I'll go and see a sequel.
I'll go and see a sequel.
But yeah, I think that it's just a case of the movie trying to be smarter than it actually is.
Yeah.
Because I think it's so much better when it just sticks to its premise and deals with just, like, the simple puzzles. Because I think the first 3 rooms are a lot of fun. The first one is the oven room, and that has some really interesting moments in it.
Then
like,
it's the
this movie is also edited really well. Just like, 'cause they keep heightening the pace for all the scenes. I enjoyed that.
That's true.
And then the ice room made me feel very cold. The environment of that place.
I mean, it was a nice environment. I don't know about feeling cold, but I was, I believed it.
The third room, I think, is the coolest.
Yeah, it was the upside down room.
Yeah.
Let's see, the fourth room, that was the survivor hut. Where it was, like, all their, like, different hospital beds from when they survived.
This is my hospital bed.
Yeah.
No, that room's less interesting.
It's not as interesting. And then...
The fifth room is the head trip room.
Is, like, the Tim Burton room.
And then the final room is...
The beginning room, technically.
Oh, yeah.
They do an ending at the beginning of the movie thing.
Right. But, like, since it's the ending at the beginning, we already know at the beginning of the movie that Martin from Love, Simon is going to be the survivor. Yeah. He's going to be the last one. And also... Whenever they show the people getting the invitations to the escape room, they only show 3 of them getting it, even though there are 6 people in the room. So I'm like, well, I wonder if the 3 people they're showing are going to be the last 3.
Oh, timer.
There we go.
Yeah, so I have nothing else to say. I mean, it's a movie.
Should I even see it? Like, is it even worth watching?
It's fun. It's
sure.
It's more fun the less you think about it. Yeah, the more you think about it, the worse it gets.
The worse it gets. The more you think about it, the funnier it gets.
Yeah. So I'll give it a 5.
I give it a 4.
Aww. So, it's not that bad.
Party foul. The ending drags it, and then the things that make no sense drag it.
So just leave, if it's still in theaters, leave it right after they get out.
Yeah.
So the final verdict for Escape Room is a 4.5. Yeah.
Subpar.
Okay, next, I think is A Dog's Way Home.
Oh,
I never saw that.
Yeah.
You two saw it.
No, I didn't.
You
saw it.
Okay. I did not see this by choice. It was my brother's birthday weekend, and he's like, I like dogs! So my family was
How
like...
old's your brother?
13.
Okay.
But he's still like...
That's a decent enough age to go see a dog's way out.
So, he was like, I like dog, yay! So, like, my family's like, alright, we'll go see the dog movie. Cam, you're coming. So I was like, alright. And I went into it after seeing this awful trailer. We've all seen the trailer, right, for this movie?
The one where it shows the whole movie?
Yeah, the whole movie. And the horrid CGI mountain lion. But I'll get to that. So basically, this movie is just the most, like, Hallmark Channel basic crap. Like, it is just every single thing like you expect to happen happens. Like, oh, the dog gets lost. Oh, he's gonna cry for his owner. Oh, the owner's like, I'll never give up on my dog. Just like all this basic stuff. And then the dog makes friends with a mountain lion in the woods, and it's an abomination of effects. It just looks awful. But then flash forward to 2 years later, and the dog's like, oh no, I'm about to get hurt by these wolves. And the mountain lion's like, no you're not. And comes in, and he's fully grown now. And it like saves him and just keeps throwing around CGI wolf bodies. It's like all over the screen. And then the dog's like, that's my hometown. Come with me. And the dog calls it Big Cat. And it's like, come with me, Big Cat. And the cat's like, meow, meow. Because the cat doesn't talk. So
it's just the dog.
Yeah, it's just the dog. So it's like, okay. And they just kind of like brush heads. And they do the thing when they're walking away from each other. The one last look back, you know? And the music's like swelling. Like, this is supposed to make you cry. I'm just like, I just don't care.
Are there any surprises in this movie? Like, is there anything that happens that you wouldn't get from the trailer?
The way that the dog gets lost is nothing like the trailer.
Oh, okay.
It's actually different. It's not just some stupid she chases a squirrel. It actually like makes sense.
What happens?
So basically it's like she gets taken away and has to go live in like some other like city because they're like, well, pit bulls are illegal in this city. And then, so she's like living there, and then she's like, I don't want to stay here, I want to go to my owner! But the owner was going to pick up her at the house, and so he goes to pick her up, but she's already left.
Oh.
So it's like one of those things. I was like, that's not bad. but still, so basically, once all this stuff happens and she sees the city, she makes it back there to, there's a whole subplot with like the VA and like veterans that's just kind of like, okay. Well, I don't really know if this should be in a movie like this. It doesn't really seem like it's handled with enough care. So her owner's working at the VA, and then the dog comes in, and he turns around, and he's like, oh, it can't be. And then it does one of those like slow-mo where he's got his arms out, and she's running towards him, and then they just like hug and embrace. And then they go and live happily ever after. Basically.
Amazing.
Yeah. There's a few things I left out, but that's basically the movie.
There's another dog movie coming out this year called A Dog's Journey.
And it's the sequel to A Dog's Purpose.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
And it has the
For you!
For you! Baby, I'm
Yeah. That sounds about right.
So, doing a rating?
So, rating, I'm going to give this one... Give this one a 3 out of 10.
Ooh, yikes. I think there's one last movie in January that one of us saw, and I saw a little movie called Serenity. Which, you may not have heard of, but if you have heard of it, you've probably heard quite some things. So I had no intention of seeing this movie. This is like just a melodrama, Matthew McConaughey, Anne Hathaway movie. I had no intention of seeing it whatsoever. And then I found out about the twist at the end. And I went, I have to go and see this just to see how they do it. Like, this is... I've heard this movie be compared to Collateral Beauty and The Book of Henry. It's like that type of thing where it tries to pull with your emotions, but also pulls a bullshit twist. Like, and so, Serenity is a movie about Matthew McConaughey being a fisherman. He's this fisherman on this... I feel bad. I can't remember the name of the island. And he's a fisherman trying to catch this giant fish that he names Justice. Wonder if that's a metaphor for anything. And suddenly his ex-wife shows up, played by Anne Hathaway, and she has an abusive new husband. And she tells him that she and her son, who is Matthew McConaughey's biological son, they want him to murder the abusive stepfather. They want him to take him out fishing, push him over the boat, and then just let him drown. Well, not drown. I think feed him to the sharks is what she says. Yeah. And nobody would know. And she'd pay him a lot of money. Like, a lot of money. And basically, the entire movie is him questioning... It's basically him doing his typical Matthew McConaughey thing of like, what are we doing in this life? Like, what's the difference between right and wrong? It's basically him asking those questions, and it's super boring, but then... So, you never see his son in the entire movie, except, like, sitting at a computer screen, because he's, like, known for being on his computer a lot, but there appears to be some type of psychic connection between him and Matthew McConaughey, and you don't know what it is. I mean, I knew what it is, because going into it, I knew the twist, but it turns out that this whole movie that Matthew McConaughey is living out is actually a fishing video game that the son has reprogrammed to incorporate his parents into it because he wants to live out a fantasy of killing his stepfather. So, let's unpack this. Okay, first off, I do want to say that the twist, on the bright side, this twist actually got me to go and see this movie. I think this movie would be so much less memorable if it didn't have that twist. Yeah. It would still be bad without the twist, but the twist makes it, like, such a fun bad. Like, and so, okay, this is a video game. So... First off, this kid, he's like some kind of prodigy, I guess, who's like at his computer so much. Random, but okay. So, first off, what is the point of this fishing game supposed to be anyway? How can he program it to have people that he knows? And also, okay, so watching the movie, I knew going into it that it was all a video game. And parts of it... I could understand. Like, when Anne Hathaway's character shows up, she appears to be, like, this femme fatale character. She, like, meets him in a bar. She dramatically walks in. It pans to show her face. Yeah. And she's like, it's been a long time since I've seen you. And he's like, yes, it has. And it's, like, really overdramatic. But I'm like, okay, I can get that that's, like, that seems like a scene in a video game. So, like, looking back on it, that makes sense. But so many of the other scenes don't feel like a video game. It just feels like bad writing and bad acting. Yeah, I'm like, why would you have this in the video game? Why would you have that? Also, there's a scene where Matthew McConaughey and Anne Hathaway have a sex scene. So that means that this kid programmed his parents to have a sex scene in this game. And also, Matthew McConaughey, he later learns that this is all happening in a video game. So I'm like, so this kid is programming this character in the game to question his own existence and his own reality. Also, so Matthew McConaughey eventually decides that he wants to kill the stepfather. He's going to kill the stepfather. But then all these obstacles start happening, preventing him from doing it. Like, one of his friends sends some guys to go beat up the abusive stepfather. So he's, like, too injured to go out fishing. But they keep trying to convince him to go out. And then once they finally get on the boat, there's this stowaway who wants to help Matthew McConaughey fish. And it's like, there are all these obstacles. And so I'm thinking, okay, is this... The kid's obviously programming these obstacles. And so is he subconsciously not wanting to kill the stepfather? Yeah. But no, because he ends up killing the stepfather in the game, and then once he kills the stepfather in the game, the kid picks up a knife, goes out into the living room, and actually kills his stepfather in real life. Jesus. And then he, like, reprograms the game later or something so that, like, the kid can go and visit Matthew McConaughey in the video game world, but, like, the real kid in real life, like, is going to jail. What? Oh, man. I just don't know what the point is. Yeah, basically...
I really wish we went and saw that one night. Can you imagine?
So, insane. So I've been talking quite a bit. Those are my thoughts on Serenity. Basically, Serenity, if you know the twist, like, so if you listened to me talk about this movie, and if you think you would get enjoyment from this twist, then go and see the movie. It's honestly, it's the type of movie it's really bad, but it is a lot of fun to watch. I'm still going to give it a 2 because it doesn't really deserve anything higher.
Still giving it a 2.
But out of enjoyment factors, it's like a 9 or 10. But
Oh wow.
Because I'm giving it a bad rating because honestly, like so much of it is just like really boring, but it's a fun boring, I guess. I don't even know how to describe that, but
Well, it's fun when you recontextualize it.
right. Do not watch this movie if you don't know the twist because you will want to walk out within like the first 2/3 of it.
Or do, and you'll get a surprise.
That'll just be an experience.
Yeah.
So my final verdict for Serenity is a 2.
2 out of 10.
2.
So we're done with January, and so far the highest rated movie is a 4.5.
Wow. Yeah, and it's Escape Room.
Escape Room.
Yeah. Oh, wait, no, is it Glass? No, it's
No
Glass.
Escape Room is 4.5. So next, we begin February with a little Netflix release called Velvet Buzzsaw.
Velvet Buzzsaw. So, the plot of Velvet Buzzsaw. A bunch of art critics and some art museum owners come across this dead guy's paintings. Dees.
Ventral Dees.
They come across Ventral Dees nuts paintings.
I was thinking that the whole time.
Me too.
Yeah.
So they come across his paintings, and the paintings start offing the characters one by one.
In the most horrendously cliche horror deaths I have seen in a while. Oh boy.
Pretty stale.
It's
I don't know how to describe its genre because I feel like it's trying to be a satire.
Satire horror,
Well, but it's not just like satire horror. It's like satire slasher, which doesn't.
It doesn't mix at all.
Right. Well, I think Scream is like the perfect mix of like satire and horror. But this one, it's not a mix. It's satire and then horror, and then satire, and then horror.
And it's just like constantly going back and forth, and it's just like, what is this?
And
like,
shoot, I need to be more in control of this timer.
And the thing, it's satire, horror, and then it's not good at either of them.
No, it's really not.
It starts off all right.
It started out okay.
I mean, fine.
It's
fine.
like,
it just like...
I just kept waiting. I was like, it might just be a little bit of a slow intro. We get into it. Oh, the second act's bad too. Oh, the act's awful.
And also at the beginning, like I was trying to follow it, but I was like, so much is happening, and it's like introducing us to all of these characters and all of their jobs, and all I was thinking was, why is this ensemble cast so big? And then I realized, it's so they can kill off everyone.
But also, I was also thinking in the beginning, I was like, am I supposed to care about these people? Because I mean, the only character that I kind of liked was Jake Gyllenhaal's character. But I think that might just be because it's Jake.
Oh, I liked Coco as well.
Yes, that was kind of funny. They did kind of a funny gag with her.
She keeps fighting. Like, she's this little sweet intern. Is she an intern or did she get like a job there? But she's like
fresh an intern at first, but then she kept moving
and then she kept getting fired.
She's like the youngest person there, very inexperienced, but tries really hard and is really sweet. But she's the one that finds all of the bodies.
It's
played by the Natalia Dyer from Stranger Things.
Yeah,
I thought was cool.
She's good.
But yeah, it's just boring. I remember like halfway through the movie, I was like, "This has just not gotten any better since the intro." And so I started looking around at you guys.
After the first death scene, you were like, that was kind of rough.
That's what I was thinking.
And I was just thinking, I was like, I'm still going to try.
I know.
Dan Gilroy, come on.
I was just like looking around at you guys, and I was like, does anyone else like, are you guys enjoying it?
Well, I noticed you kept like going on your phone.
I know, I was like, because I was so bored.
Paul's liking this, I don't think he'd be on his phone.
So if any of our viewers are unaware, this movie was directed by the same guy who directed Nightcrawler, which is
I was so excited for this movie. Because Nightcrawler is a masterpiece.
I recently created a top 10 list just for fun of my top 10 favorite movies of the past 5 years, and Nightcrawler was number 6.
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
And like he also, Jake Gyllenhaal was also the lead in that movie, and they are collaborating again in Velvet Buzzsaw. So it had
one of my favorite performances in any movie. Jake Gyllenhaal.
Oh my gosh,
like that is
so good. But it was.
So with that, I think we were all like,
really excited.
This is going to be something awesome.
Like, woo! And it looked fun. It looked interesting.
I was like, the whole time I was watching it, it did not feel like a Dan Gilroy movie. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like that might be a little hard to say because I've only seen 2 movies that he's made. But even like his second one, like Roman J. Israel with Denzel, it still kind of had that tone and like style that Nightcrawler had. But this was just like,
I don't know,
dude, what are you doing?
Like, I
think he needs to stick to character studies.
Yeah, I
because
agree.
Like the ensemble in this was just so like now you get a scene, now you get a scene, now you get a scene, now you get a scene. It's
like, all right,
like, dude,
find a better way to balance this. Yeah, it's just boring. It just the deaths were boring.
They were entertaining though.
They were.
Toni Collette's was my favorite.
That was
the arm.
That was funny. That was funny.
So
I thought the one death of him getting like hung was pretty boring.
Yeah,
his
but
eyes after
he just kept looking around and it'd be like different. He'd be like, "What the fuck?" And then oh, there's a swear. And then he just like look the other way and be like, "Oh, it's different." And then look the other way. "Oh, it's different." "Oh, this light bulb's flickering." Hangs. I was like, that sucked. That was not.
I love Toni Collette's though, because there's like this big art exhibit piece that's shaped like a sphere. It's actually shaped like the mic that we're using, and there are these holes in it that you can stick your hand into, and it's meant to like give you a certain sensation,
a whole new experience.
And I'm like, okay, fair enough. But then, so she's like there alone at night, and she sticks her hand in, and then it just like saws her arm off, and then she like it's cool at first because like the blood is coming out of all the other holes.
That looked cool.
But then she pulls her arm out, and it's just this bad CGI ripped off arm, and she dies right there. But the thing is, the exhibit opens the next day, and since nobody has seen it yet, they all think that her dead body is a part of it.
That was kind of funny.
In a
dark, awful way.
It was funny, but I was like,
that kind of reminded me of
somebody would notice
the Nightcrawler humor that he had. I was kind of like, that kind of seems like a Dan Gilroy thing, but
but I was like, someone would notice.
Yeah.
So like there were kids playing in the blood, and I was like, okay,
and then the one girl,
someone would notice.
Yeah. What's her name? Like
Coco.
Josephina.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
She was like, we're trending on Instagram. Oh my god.
Josephina was so boring.
She was. I did not like that actress.
Yeah.
Her performance was just so. And I tried to like make her the main character at one point. It seemed like, and then it's just like she's awful. I
honestly just don't have much to say about this movie.
I thought Jake was fine.
He was fine.
He's never bad. You know, you kind of just he's gonna be at least good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
In movies, but they shouldn't give him anything to do. Hobo Man was cool. This like the robot kind of thing that's in the movie.
Yeah, that was an interesting practical effect.
Yeah. I thought that looked cool.
Yeah,
but it looked cool.
We just give Jake an off-screen death.
It didn't really feel like it had any other purpose.
I can save you.
Oh yeah, so like pretty much all the characters die, and
except for
the ending,
John Malkovich, David Diggs, and Coco.
The end, I just didn't care. Like there's like this one scene of the like main girl and like there's paint coming towards her and it's supposed to be suspenseful, but like I don't care.
I don't like her, so I'm like, kill her. Like I don't care.
Like kill her. I don't like her. She's not a good person.
And what's interesting is I feel like the movie's trying to make some sort of point about art criticism.
Yeah.
But the thing is, like, I can understand why some of the characters would die for that message, but Jake Gyllenhaal, he learns his lesson.
Yeah.
He learns
and
that...
he still dies.
Yeah, he still dies.
He's like, what the heck? That's even what he's saying when Hobo Man's, like, choking him. He's, like, screaming, like, I understand. Like, all this stuff, but it's still just like, no, let me just crick this guy's neck. Like, what the heck?
I don't know.
And I guess they're trying to be like, ooh, he gave that thing a bad review in the beginning, so I come back to bite him in the ass. But like, I'm just,
it was dumb.
Makes sense why this one's on Netflix.
Final.
No,
word?
but Roma was on Netflix, and so Netflix is officially a good studio now.
Final verdicts, I suppose.
3.
2.
Ooh, wow. So that's a
so
2.7, right?
So disappointed.
Okay, I promise we're not mean critics. Like, we just haven't seen that many good movies.
2019 has not started off well.
Right, but
next is
the Lego Movie 2.
There we go.
Yeah.
So,
there we go. Finally a good one.
Yes, we get to talk about... We get to be positive.
There we go.
Yay! I fucking loved this movie. I had such a good time.
It's so much fun. It is so entertaining.
Yeah, it's just... I mean, it's Phil Lord, Chris Miller back at it. It just came off of Spider-Verse, which was also amazing.
Just won the Oscar.
Yeah, just won an Oscar for Best Animated. And it's just stylized. It's funny. It's heartwarming. Just like it's on par, if not a little bit, not as good as the first.
Yeah,
I don't like.
I think the first one's definitely better.
Yeah, I agree.
But that doesn't take anything away.
It
from
no, it doesn't. Yeah,
this one's still really good on its own.
Yeah.
Great.
Like,
it's great.
I was just constantly just dying.
It was so
dying
laughing so much.
Like,
yeah.
so funny.
It's
oh
just,
my goodness.
And the humor is just so fast.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like throughout. It's just the amount, like the way they just didn't be able to do that.
The humor does not pander to kids, even though this is a kids movie.
Mm-hmm.
It's smart with its humor.
Yeah, it's very smart. The jokes seem very relevant to the plot. There's a couple jokes that like broke away, but it's just so fast that it's just like you just get right back into it.
Yeah,
it's great. I mean,
yeah, it's kind of hard to talk about.
It's good,
but
I don't think I love it as much as you do.
Yeah.
But I just think my only like issue with it is it just kind of seems like sometimes the plot kind of pauses for a little bit just for like a lot of jokey joke stuff, and then it kind of goes back to the plot. But I mean, that's not really that much of a big deal. I mean, it's the Lego movie.
I think most of the jokey jokes are good, though.
Yeah. Oh, they're
Is that what we'll call them? The jokey jokes.
The jokey jokes.
I thought. Yeah. I don't know if I agree with that. I think most of the jokes are relevant, but there are definitely some that are just like that one intermission joke. Even though it was really funny, it just kind of like it just kind of takes you out of it for a second.
It cuts to intermission for like 10 seconds. And they go, "Let's all go to the lobby."
And
let's all go to the
Unikitty
lobby.
comes out and fights one. Yeah,
What I think I found so interesting about this movie is that, okay, you know how like the first Lego movie pulled a twist on the Chosen One stereotype?
yeah,
This movie kind of pulls a twist on the villain stereotype.
it's true.
Because from the very beginning, you are told that
Queen whatever Wanabe.
Yes, Queen whatever Wanabe, but like what's the Sistar system? That's what it's called. The Sistar system is evil. They're bad, and they destroy everything that's remotely flashy or cool, and they just ruin it. And so whenever the characters get kidnapped and go to the party for Queen whatever Wanabe, first off, fantastic name. That is such a brilliant name. But you naturally expect that she is evil and that she has some kind of malicious plan and that she's not telling you something. And that's what Lucy thinks. And then whenever all the characters are happy, you assume they've been brainwashed. But then at the end, it's revealed there is no evil plan. They actually are just happy. And like the villain of the story isn't them. The villain of the story is the society that the young boy playing with Legos has created is unwilling to accept the letting someone else in to their world to build it together.
That's like really good.
It is good.
So,
It's like reiterating on the point the first one made, whereas like you can grow up and still like childish things. You don't have to rationalize it in a way that's like, oh, you know, it's their construction, whatever Will Ferrell says in the first one, that they're like adult things, and it's like this one's like, oh no, it's a deep dark apocalypseburg, and you can't be a part of it because it's all this. You know, it's just about creativity. I mean,
well, and I also think it has a lot to say about masculinity as well.
I agree.
And how some like boys think that they have to start acting a certain way when they grow up because that's how boys are supposed to act.
And they have like you know the big like fights and like all like that stuff and like
I think it has that, and even bigger than like masculinity or toxic masculinity. It's like just sibling rivalry and like, or just how that's created and what are the root causes and how that can be solved. I think it's great. Yeah. I think it's great. I think it has a nice nice message. Very complex, but I think it's a complex and solid message, I think.
My one issue with this movie is the time travel subplot. Because, Emmett at one point meets this character,
Rex Dangervest,
who is basically a combination of every other Chris Pratt character that Chris Pratt has ever played.
So funny.
And he's a cool character. I like his addition to the story, and I like what his character ultimately ends up meaning. But, so, the whole point of it is that he is Emmett from an alternate dimension.
Or just the future.
No, from the future, because at one point Emmett ends up underneath the dry system, and
Undar the dry system.
But he ends up realizing that nobody is going to come for him, and he can only rely on himself, and so he becomes super cool, and that's where the whole masculinity thing comes into it. Where like you think that being cool is the solution, but being sensitive is what will really get you far in life. But he creates a time machine and goes back in time to morph Emmett into himself. So the boy came up with this time travel storyline from the beginning, but Emmett doesn't know that.
I think that's
very
it's supposed to kind of reference just kind of like he's just kind of internally kind of at war with himself about growing up. I think that's kind of what it's supposed to mean.
Right.
You know?
Well, because it's the similar thing in the first one with President Business. Even though it's a bit more on the nose. I mean, it's not revealed that it's on the nose until the end, but like in the end, in the first one, the kid doesn't want him to be the bad guy. He wants to have fun with his dad and play Lego with his dad. But I think this one's the same, but he just doesn't quite realize what this is about until.
So he's in his dad's position.
Yeah, exactly.
Movie.
Yeah. And that's what I was saying earlier. It's the reverse. You know, the sister gets to play it. Takes the, I guess, Finn role in this one, which is the main character's name. Yeah, the kid's name. So, final verdicts?
Oh, wait, before we get to final verdicts, I just want to say that this movie's soundtrack is amazing.
Oh, it's so great. I still listen to it.
Catchy song.
And the credit song.
Yeah.
One of those songs has to get an Oscar nomination.
Please.
Just because I want to see that performed at the Oscars next
so funny.
That's awesome.
Okay. I'm going to give it a 7.
I give it an 8.
7.
So the final verdict for the Lego Movie 2 is a 7.3.
Highest one so far.
Yeah.
By a long
well
shot.
Deserved.
Long shot, yeah.
What is next on the
Happy
year?
Death Day?
Yes,
Happy
next
Death Day.
is Happy Death Day to You.
Happy Death Day to you. So,
did you see this?
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
So we also
Seen it. Sweet.
It's so Happy Death Day. It's the sequel to Happy Death Day, or Happy Death Day to You is the sequel to Happy Death Day. I never saw Happy Death Day. You guys have, but I have not. It's it's right after. I think it's literally the day after the first movie.
So in the first Happy Death Day, it's a story about this girl in college who's living the same day over and over again. But except, like, she gets murdered at the end of every day, and so she has to figure out who her killer is. So it's a simple story, but fun and wacky and weird. And
I really like the first one. It's so much fun.
And so this movie, I don't even know how to describe the plot of it, because...
So it starts out with the Asian character. That was kind of like a brief... flash in the first one, and it starts out like a rotation of his day until he ends up being killed at the end, and it's discovered, oh, he's in the loop now. So he is like telling the girl, the main character, Tree, he's telling Tree, like, I've been experiencing this, and she's like, oh, I know what's going on. So they try to figure it out, and they end up catching the killer in like the second day, so it's pretty cool.
Well, first off, they figure out what caused the time loop in the first place.
It was the Asian guy.
Ryan?
Yeah. Ryan's, like, science experiment.
Yeah.
I mean, it's interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, it's something.
So, something goes wrong with the science experiment, and it ends up blasting Tree into an alternate dimension where she is once again reliving Monday the 18th from the first movie. Which I was initially upset when she started going back to Monday the 18th in this alternate dimension.
But I thought what they did with it was cool. Like how her mom was alive.
Yeah.
That was really good.
Okay.
I just thought that was really good writing there. I was like, that's a really neat idea. And I thought the stuff that they did with that was really cool.
What surprised me most about this movie is that the foundation for this entire series is that the same thing is happening over and over again. That is literally the foundation of this story. And so when I found out they were making a sequel, I was like, how are they going to do anything different? And boy, did they do a lot of things different.
Well, that's kind of why I responded to the mother being alive thing so much, because like when she first goes back to Monday 18th, I was like, oh, it's going to be one of those here we go again things. But then they kind of bring that element into it, and I was like, okay, it's actually kind of different. It's going to take a different turn now.
Yeah, I thought it was fine. I mean, it is a good element. I mean, it makes it a bit more interesting than the first one. I haven't seen it, but I'm assuming that it makes it more interesting, or not necessarily more interesting, but different. Yeah, I'm really glad. I was a little scared at the beginning that they were gonna stick to the Asian guy, Ryan, was that his name? I was a little afraid because he's not a good actor.
There is some iffy acting in here.
Most of the actors, other than Tree, is like,
she's great.
They are really not good, like at all. But
the boyfriend's that bad.
He's just kind of bland.
He didn't bother me.
Like most of the characters, bland. I think you can just can get the basic gist of them as characters.
Indian nerds, like it's just kind of I don't know.
Sorority bitch.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's just like,
I don't know. That stuff
like,
just didn't really bother me. I wasn't expecting
it was
just do super in-depth
I mean,
characters. I kind of just
that's
kind of what it is.
Sure, it's not what you expect, but shouldn't it be? I mean,
well,
shouldn't you expect good acting from actors?
No, I'm not saying that. No, I don't know. I am not trying to say the acting's good. I'm just saying I don't really mind that the characters are kind of stereotypical.
Yeah,
it doesn't really bother me.
I want it to be interesting. But
its character has never been the main focus in the Happy Death Day movies.
No.
Well, I mean, the main character seemed like the main focus of the first one, and
not like everyone else.
I guess.
I think
it's kind of lame.
The way I view the Happy Death Day movies is that to me they feel like B movies with budgets.
Yeah.
Like,
well, it's Blumhouse.
Yeah, they're just very much over the top and crazy, but they know that and they just go for it.
Yeah.
And that's what I like about them.
I mean, there's just to me with this one, there's just still so many questions I have. I mean, one main particular one where it's just like, why is like they explain it, kinda, but like why her?
Yes, why
they never explain that. And then like in the beginning of the movie, it's just him now, and it's like why? I don't know. It just bothers me.
I just don't really think about that stuff.
Maybe the third movie will answer this.
It's just there's that, and then like the villain was just kind of boring. I mean, it wasn't interesting.
It's better if you've seen the first one.
I mean, I guess.
Yeah.
It was
makes a lot.
Maybe,
but also
that guy a lot more stuff.
But also in the first one, it actually managed to catch me by surprise in the first one. Who the
killer was?
The killer was, yeah. Whereas in this one, it's like pretty obvious.
It's obvious from the first time you see him. You're just like, oh, yeah, there it is. And then like the villain, and then the wife comes in and is like, "You think I'm gonna let you?"
I want a divorce.
Yeah. By the way, I want a divorce. And it's like, what was the point of that?
It was a gag, Paul.
It's good. It's just still pretty bland.
Well, I just have a lot of questions
I don't think
still.
Bland.
Yeah, I don't think bland is the right word at all.
Well, it's a little bit self-aware, but it doesn't really do much with it. I think it's just self-aware to be self-aware, and it's like, we're doing this, and it's like, and then like to since there's like really no sense of urgency in the movie, they have to like artificially add one.
Yeah, that she's
like getting weaker, and it's like,
that's in the first movie.
But like, why?
Too.
Yeah,
why is she getting weaker?
It's just
it never
it doesn't make sense.
The effects of her dying so much, I guess. I don't know. Like,
what?
I don't think you're really supposed to think about these movies.
Why
that
not?
Much. I think they're just supposed to be just fun,
like B movies.
Like B movies.
But it's not.
I'm sure there's tons of things in Lego Movie that if we really got down to it.
But literally, okay, sure, but like this movie. It's literally meant to be, or one of the main purposes is to explain the first one, but it doesn't do a good job.
That is true.
That's what I'm saying.
I mean,
it's asking like, hey, this is why this is happening, and then it's like it doesn't answer anything.
I think
and it's just one thing.
A sci-fi thing.
No, I was fine with it being a sci-fi. It's just like they're setting up an answer, and they don't answer it fully.
Like what?
Well, for example, Ryan keeps getting killed by an alternate universe version of himself, but it's never explained why he got there, and also what happens to him at the end, because he is there when the big explosion happens that blasts Tree into the alternate universe, and eventually when she goes back to the main universe, the alternate universe Ryan is still there, but it's never explained where he goes.
I'll give you that, because I thought that whenever it was going to be like Tree was trying to kill Tree, like she was going to be the person in the mask, because they set that up with Ryan,
right?
But then it's a guy, so I'm like,
but then it's like,
and also like you said earlier, why her?
Why her? Yeah, why her? Why him at the beginning?
I didn't really think of that. It didn't really bother me.
And then how are they able? To control it by the end?
What do you mean?
Well, by the end they put Danielle in it. How are they able to control it? And like, why is she the only one affected? And then why isn't how are they able to do?
Because he perfected his experiment, Paul.
But how are they able to do research on Danielle if they don't also mentally reset with her?
They probably got some help from DARPA.
Well, but that's what. How does DARPA know?
I don't know. I don't think this type of movie you're supposed to analyze it that much.
It sets itself out as an explanation, and it doesn't explain.
Yeah, I do agree with Paul on that.
I just didn't really feel like that. I don't know. I get it, but it's just kind of just like, well, it's Happy Death Day.
I really do hope there is a third movie where they do answer some of these questions.
We'll see. I mean, can we? I don't know if I can stand another one. I mean, I haven't seen the first one.
Yeah, I don't think we need another one.
I want another one.
Well, what are they going to do? That's
I didn't know what they were going to do for a second one, but they came up with that. So
yeah, but it's still probably going to have to involve like a time loop and stuff like that. It's just,
I want there to be a third one.
Here we go again.
I want there to be a third one and then have it end after that. I don't want them to just like keep making these movies until they make money, but I do want there to be a conclusion.
A resolution.
Yeah. Yes.
So, final verdicts?
Ooh, wow, that was perfect timing.
Timing.
I'm going to go for a 6. Yeah, there are problems, but it's fun.
These are 5. Middle of the road.
7.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah, I just was super entertained by it. I just had a lot of fun. And I think Jessica Rothe is great.
The more I think about it, it's just the more I think about it, the more I'm like, maybe that wasn't that great.
Next up, we have a little movie called Alita Battle Angel.
Alita Battle Angel.
Oh, did you guys not see Kim Possible?
Wait, did that come out? When did that come out?
It was on the 15th.
Oh, wait, do you want to talk about that then?
I don't have
to. Wait, no. Wait, Alita came out the 14th.
14th, okay.
So,
Alita first.
Alright, Alita first. So, oh wow, this movie.
I don't know which one of us should talk about it. Okay.
I like it. These goons don't.
I did not.
But I don't know. I had fun with this movie. I was just entertained. And you guys kind of know this. I'm a huge sci-fi type person. Yeah. And like, maybe I'm a little biased more towards sci-fi movies, but I just get really interested in like science fiction worlds and like all this like the stuff that they kind of presented in the movie. And I think Alita's effects look great. I know you guys kind of don't think she looks good.
I don't think she looks well. I think it looks realistic. Except for her mouth. I think it looks realistic. Right. I just don't think it looks good. I think it's ugly, and I don't want to look at it. That's what I think.
Yeah, I'm kind of like that as well. I think the effects were good, but I just think that they were a bad decision.
Especially for a character that's supposed to be pretty, and that people comment on throughout the movie that she's pretty.
I guess that's just a personal
preference
thing. If it works for you, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't.
I guess so.
I don't really think there's going to be a middle of the road on the way she looks.
Yeah,
I think beauty is subjective, but I think she just looks artificial.
From anime straight onto to movies.
No,
you don't think so?
No, because why is she the only one?
Are there other people in the
yes,
anime that have the eyes that are that big?
That's the art style.
That are that big?
Yes.
Are you sure?
The mom character. She has the same big eyes.
Okay. Well,
like even male characters have like decently big eyes.
I mean, I get why they did it. They're just trying to make her stand out and like be different from the rest. Which, I mean, she wouldn't really stand out if it was just Rosa Salazar as a cyborg.
So why does she need? I mean, she can stand out by literally any other means.
I can't really explain it. It just
she could stand out by her performance.
It just worked.
Anything else?
And her performance did stand out.
It didn't, but
yes, it did. It was good.
I didn't think she was very good.
Okay. Chocolate.
I thought
what is wrong with this?
Chocolate is my favorite
food.
What's wrong?
It's not the first time she's tasted it, most likely.
Well, she probably can't remember, so she's just like, oh.
But she's gonna be like, oh, it's chocolate.
What's wrong with that?
She also spent so much in the movie just giving one-liners.
Giving one-liners. It's just the naive plot line. It's just so retired, so overused that it's just like, oh, she's gonna discover something. Oh, she's gonna do this. She's gonna do that. It's so obvious. It's boring. There's nothing interesting about it. It's just the same old amnesiac, naive princess story we got.
I think she gets better the stronger she gets as a character.
I agree.
But
I think
when she's naive, I found her annoying.
It just did not bother me at all. I think you're being a little bit too hard on the movie.
Why?
Other movies kind of get away with certain things.
Like what?
Kind of like just some of the things in Lego Movie that are easy.
What?
Stuff like this.
Well, it makes sense. It makes sense in that movie. It makes sense in that movie because it's the story of a child. It's all in the child's head, so it makes sense. But in this, it doesn't. It doesn't have that excuse.
I don't even think that's really like you can just be like, oh, it's in a kid's head, so everything like, oh, just bland writing's okay.
What's bland in the Lego Movie?
I mean, it's just kind of like there's just stuff that's like, oh, yep, there we go. Simple.
But, I mean, sure, but again, it's
but that's okay, and like stuff in Alita is just like, oh.
It is. It's just bland. The Lego Movie is unique and it's its own thing, but Alita is just very by the numbers.
You think Alita's not unique?
No, I think it's very by the numbers.
I think so too. This just feels like a very 2000s sci-fi movie.
It just feels like, well, the chart says. I mean, not to pull a nostalgia critic, but well, the chart says. It's just like this is a good place for a climax. This is. Oh, we'll have her be an amnesiac, even though it's in the original story. But like that'll be a great way to just shove exposition down the audience's throat.
This didn't bother me.
I don't understand.
Now, there are parts of it that I can agree with you that I have problems with. Like, some of the dialogue is...
It's horrendous. Most of it is.
Some of the dialogue's pretty bad. Hugo's
Hugo's
last bout.
Wow.
That is...
Hugo's, spoiler, death scene is
it's bad.
So bad.
It's bad.
Bad.
It's pretty bad, yeah.
It has nothing redeemable about it.
It's pretty bad. Which it doesn't even really make sense why they bring him back just to kill him. Like,
well, I think that's a storyline in the
I know that's
manga,
in the
I believe.
it is in the manga, but still, I'm like,
it's kind of weird. I
just have him die in her.
I don't know.
Arms.
And I also think it's laughable. I also think it's laughable when he tries to climb up to Salem.
Oh,
I thought that was. I don't know. I just thought it was fun. I was like,
really?
Dumbass. what do you think's gonna hapen?
I didn't really think it was funny, but
I thought it was really.
I
funny.
thought was
he got chopped to pieces.
Yeah. With Edward Norton.
His head. Oh my god.
those glasses he had.
I love it. I love it. Celebrity cameo. But yeah, Motorball was fun.
The Motorball stuff's great.
I know. I wish the movie was. I wish it was a Motorball.
Love the Motorball scenes. I thought that stuff.
Like even if it was like a by the numbers sports movie kind of thing, I would have probably liked that more.
Motorball stuff was really cool. I like all the action scenes though. I think.
I agree. I think
well done.
Yeah, the action's really fun to watch.
The action's the best part of the movie.
I just don't care about the characters. So I'm not that invested.
Well, I did, but okay. So you didn't like Christoph Waltz?
No, I thought
he fit that role perfectly.
I thought he was decent.
I thought he was perfect.
It was nothing that was like, it was just fine.
I'll give you Jennifer Connelly. She was so
good.
Yeah.
And Mahershala's all right.
Yeah, but it's Mahershala. You know, it's not going to be bad. But
Yeah.
they just like that pissed me off. I'm like, you have Mahershala Ali in a movie, and you give him that crap? Like, really? Like, come on.
Bring me the girl called Alita.
That's a good meme, but. And then he just like, I'm taken over by Nova.
I don't know. I
thought they were purple, but
no, I like those bits. I like the bit when he was dying and Nova was still in control of his body.
Yeah.
I thought that was funny.
That was
Where he's like, that looks fatal.
yeah, that is fatal. I was like, that was good.
That was so funny.
Or wasn't he like, and one more thing? When he said,
he's just like dying. And I mean, what else is there to say?
I think it's basically you can say that even if someone like me that likes the movie, I can acknowledge that it is nowhere near perfect, and there are quite a few problems. But I just had fun with it, and I was just entertained, and I liked Alita, so I think also that helps me probably like it some too.
Yeah,
she didn't really annoy me like it did you. Did she annoy you, Josh?
At first,
okay.
But then later on, I was like, okay.
I was just like, I just kind of rolled with it. So I feel like if you're able to roll with the beginning, I think you're gonna like the movie a lot more.
Yeah.
If you're not gonna be able to roll with the beginning. You're probably not going to like it.
It's going to take a bit.
Yeah.
I started to enjoy it more in the last 30 minutes, but by then, for me, it was like so far gone that I was like, well, at least I can enjoy this part, but I still don't think it's good. Should we do ratings?
Yep.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. I'm going with a 4.
4.
7.5.
Wow.
Ooh, okay. I'm actually going to have to pull out my calculator for that one. So, a 5.2. Okay.
All right, yeah.
That's the third best so far.
I mean, out of all the movies we have, I think it deserves to be the third best. But so Kim Possible.
Well,
wow.
So I recommend you guys see this if
Yeah.
you're fans of the original, just to see your childhood burn before your eyes. But so I saw the trailers for this movie and I was like, what are they doing? Why are they doing this? Like, I just did not think the casting looked good. I thought everything about it just looked rancid. And then the movie started and I was like, wow, this actually isn't awful. And then they introduced the plot. And I was like,
and then the movie started.
And then I was like, well, I was right. And the plot is horrendous in this movie. It is just like,
yikes.
God. But I will give it one thing. The actors, they got the characters down. Like, pretty much. Like, the girl that plays Kim, she's great. The girl that plays Ron, or the guy that plays Ron.
Whoa.
The guy that plays Ron is great. Draken and Shigo, they're both perfect.
Shigo.
They're good. Kim's parents are gonna say, Kim parents, who cares?
Where was this released? Was it a Disney Channel?
Yeah, it's a Disney Channel original movie.
Oh my god.
Yeah. So I shouldn't have expected that much.
It has 4.4 out of 10 on IMDb. Like,
wow.
If you have below a 6 on IMDb, then
there's something wrong.
And they try to have all these like in jokes. Like, so one of the main things in this movie, like Kim and Ron meet this girl called Athena, who's like a Kim Possible super fan. And so they go back to Kim's room, and Kim has all of her like gadgets and like clothes and shit.
For gadgets and gizmos aplenty.
Yeah, all on the wall. And then like she sees her old costume, you know, the one with like the midriff and like the big baggy pants and like all that from the original. And she's like, "Whoa, you used to wear that on the missions all the time. Why don't you wear it anymore?" And she's like, "Well, you know, I figured it was cartoony to wear the same thing over and over again." All right. And I'm like, okay, that's... you really got him there.
You got him.
It's just like, really? And then they have the original voice of Kim Possible just pop up to pause the movie. You'd be like, "It is time for my cameo now. Hello." Just like...
Wow.
You're there. Okay.
Did she do like a Cusco thing? Or like, what was it?
No, she just like... she's like, "Oh, that's my friend, the pop star." And she just like pulls up in this limo. "Hey, Kim, what's up?"
Wow.
And then Athena, the chick they meet, goes over and is like, "I love all your music." And you see Kim's face. She's like, "No, you don't. You don't even listen to it." And it's just like petty, just crap. Also, they make her a soccer player in this one, not a cheerleader, which I'm just like,
oh yeah.
Why? Is there something wrong with that in modern times? Like girls being a cheerleader? Like,
I think honestly, like having that in today's standards would honestly be more interesting, seeing a girl who does fit into like a feminine stereotype, but also being really cool. Like,
she's a badass. And now she's like, she's just like on the soccer team, and then they're like, "Yeah, well, freshmen aren't allowed to play." And then Athena goes out and tries out, and they're like, "Okay, Athena, we'll let you play." And Kim's like, "I need to be in the soccer team." And just like all this stuff. I'm just like, Kim Possible... she should be the best, should she not? Mm-hmm. And they make Athena be like, "Athena's better than Kim." There's like all this stuff, and like she has to have an internal struggle and realize that she's more than just the stuff she does. She's still herself. And I'm just like, oh, come on, please. Like, it was a Saturday morning cartoon.
Yeah.
Like, just, oh man. And so basically, the twist is Athena's an effing robot. Made by Draken to steal Kim Possible's spark.
Wow.
Whatever that means. And he's like, think of all the cruel memes.
Wait,
yes,
no.
yes. And we get like a zoom in on him while he does it. Think of all the cruel memes. Oh. I'm just like, what did you do to him?
Imagine that actor being like painted somewhat in blue.
Yeah.
Just being like, think of all the
memes.
Think of all the cruel memes.
Oh, there's also another horrid thing they do with him. Whenever Shigo breaks him out of whatever frickin' prison he's in, she's like, they're just in like this little like cave for their lair. He's like, "What is this lair? Da da da. Have you seen Vil Instagram lately? Vil Instagram." That's real, guys. That's real. It's like, he's got an exploding volcano. He's got a da da da. Just like all this stuff. It's like, "And I have a cave." What? There's like all these jokes trying to be modern, and then they have him take selfies, and he's like, "Ooh, duck face." And I'm like, stop! Stop! Just like older people trying to like do young culture just always comes off as so cringy.
So bad.
You know? And it's just like, I don't think they're even trying to have it be funny. Like, it's just gonna just like...
Yeah.
Or is it supposed to be funny?
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I kind of find Vil Instagram kind of funny, but like the whole selfie thing I always found cringy.
Think of the cruel memes.
I find that...
I mean, it's funny.
I don't know. Like, it's like, at this point where it's like, I don't know.
Good way?
I don't know if I find it funny ironically or unironically at that point.
Yeah. So Athena's a robot, and she took the spark from Kim, and Draken and her get machines, and he's like, "Oh, I'm gonna transfer the spark to me." But then Kim's like, "No, you're not!" And like they get some big, the big third act fight, and Kim breaks the machine, and Draken's like, "No, what have you done?" And then he for some reason turns into a little kid, which didn't make any sense. And then suddenly it's like, "Oh no, the lab's gonna self-destruct." And Athena's like, "I'll stop it." And Kim's like, "No, come with me." And she's like, "No, Kim, you saved me. It's my turn to save you." Classic. And I'm like, "Oh, yep, there we go. Hitting all the beats, aren't we?" And so then the lab blows up, and then you hear like a, and Athena's... And Athena's head is just there like,
wow.
Hey, Kim, help me. And Kim's like, don't worry, Athena, my dad'll fix you. And so they rebuild her body. And now it's Ron, Kim, and Athena. And they're a team now.
Do they have Rufus?
Yeah. Oh, boy. Yeah.
Was he CG?
He's CG.
Oh,
and he looks like an eraser.
Not
like,
Rufus.
He looks like an eraser, Paul.
Not Rufus.
Yeah, they don't even introduce him until, like, the end of the second act.
Really?
Yeah. He's like, hey, little guy, how you doing? And, like, picks him up.
Wait, does he find him in this
Yeah,
one?
he finds him in, like, some, like, terrarium. It's just, like... And then
so this is, like, the origin story.
Yeah, I guess. And then they go at the end, and it's just doing, like, the montage of, like, oh, look at their life now. It's so happy. And they're eating a Bueno Nacho together. And the Bueno Nacho is just a horrendous CGI painting is almost what it looks like. And then Rufus, like, takes a bite out of a chip and burps. And it's like, Rufus. It's just like, oh, boy.
So
is
that all?
Hold up! I forgot the stinger for the sequel that they're trying to set up. So Shigo pulls up and she's like, oh well, you ready for school? And it's Draken, and he's gonna go to her high school, and it's like, I can get Kim Possible in high school. You'll never expect it. But he says like, he's a kid, so it's awful. And the kid goes in, he's like, I'll get Kim Possible now, and then it ends.
Wow.
Yeah, that is... I'm sorry. I had to rant. I had to do it. I've been holding that in forever.
What's your rating?
I would give it a 3.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah.
Still better than Buzzsaw.
Yeah, it is. Anything's better than Buzzsaw. With the distinction that the actors did get the characters right, they just gave them the most horrendously rancid plot. I mean, did you guys think that sounded good?
No.
Okay.
No.
I'd still recommend you watch it. Just so you can get mad.
Okay.
Oh my.
But yeah.
All that we have left is How to Train Your Dragon, The Hidden World.
Did you see it?
I did not.
Okay.
So
I have not seen the first two, so
There will be no spoilers.
Oh, you haven't seen it either?
Damn.
I haven't seen it.
I want to spoil it because it's a really good ending. But okay, so How to Train Your Dragon: The Hidden World.
Do they finally train the dragons?
Oh wow! So it's great. So it starts off with Hiccup and the gang infiltrating this like ship that's like smuggling dragons or killing dragons. I don't know what they're doing. They're doing bad things to dragons, is all you need to know. And so they come in and like beat them up, and the first like 15 to 20 minutes is pretty horribly directed. I mean, not horribly, but it's not great. It's pretty bland, not very visually interesting, which sucks because like that's kind of a staple of the series.
Movies,
is like that is so visually interesting. Everything's kind of really fast and like there's a lot of colors, and you're just like, oh god, it's hurting. Well, once that whole thing ends, they go back to Berk, and
This is Berk.
this is Berk's son. You see that Berk is like become this dragon hub, like even more than the second one. It looks like a giant birdhouse basically with dragons. So there's the issue that Berk is being overcrowded with dragons, and so they're like, we gotta do something. And Hiccup has this plan to find the hidden world of dragons, or like where dragons came from, which I always thought was that was the second movie. What did they find in the second movie?
It is kind of similar.
I thought it was the same thing, but
yeah.
So I was like, all right, well, but anyway, so he wants to go find the hidden world.
Now it's the real hidden world.
Yeah, now it's the real origin of dragons come here. But yeah, so the hidden world, and so they're like, Hiccup wants to make a home there, so no one can ever steal their dragons, hurt them, whatever. Then it cuts to the main villain, Grimmel, voiced by F. Murray Abraham, I think. I don't know who that is, but I saw the voice actors. I was like, okay, he's pretty good. He's not the most dimensional villain or like deep villain.
Because from the trailers, I thought he looked really bad.
Yeah, I mean, he presents a nice like shadow of Hiccup.
That's kind of cool.
So it's like he's like the mirror. He's like a dark mirror of Hiccup, and so it's like, okay, that's pretty cool. You know, he's pretty charismatic. I thought he was just going to be all doom and gloom, but he's not.
Dude, that line you said he says.
What?
It's like, the hunt.
Oh, yeah, he's like, don't you enjoy the hunt? Or it's like, he has a different accent. He has like more of a British accent, but it's like, he's like, what? Don't you enjoy the hunt? It's pretty great. And he has like this council of like all the like a Mongolian person that looked like on his council, like these Chinese people. I was like, what the heck? Did Vikings have contact with these people? I don't know. But anyway, so Grimmel, he's set up as a pretty huge threat to dragons. Because there's a scene in the trailer where he just kind of turns around and shoots a dragon, and it's like, wow. You know, he's pretty intimidating. And he infiltrates Burke and is like, I'm going to kill your Night Fury, and you can't do anything about it. Hiccup's like, no. And so they fend him off, but Burke sustained like a lot of damage. So they go to try to find the hidden world, and they're off. Yeah, that's the basic plot. I don't really want to go further than that. Like, especially if you don't want to spoil it. It's really good. I mean, the first part, once they introduce Grimmel, then it gets better. Then it gets like the directing gets better, the story, the pacing is better, everything is better once they introduce Grimmel. And so from there, it's like really solid. They start building this foundation. The problem I had with the second one, one of the main problems I had with the second one is fixing this one, where Astrid just became the most bland character ever.
In the second one?
In the second one. I thought. She was just kind of like the smiling like head next to Hiccup. And she was like a very interesting character in the first one. I enjoyed her in the first one. But yeah, this one they kind of solved that a little bit. She's still not the most dimensional, but
they at least give her something.
They give her something, other than just kind of smile next to Hiccup. The rest of the characters were a little annoying at first, but then got funnier. You can really tell that they're growing up. Hiccup even has some like whiskers. The like fish legs, the like big character. He has like a mustache.
That's cool.
And it's pretty fun. Fish legs.
Fish legs.
He's like, fish legs, break down. But yeah, it's really good. The animation is good. It makes me want to go see this in 3D. I didn't because I don't like 3D. But after seeing it, I was like, I need to see this in 3D. Like, I really, really should see this in 3D.
That sounds impressive if you don't like 3D.
Yeah, no, I because it hurts my eyes. But I think I might want to endure it for this movie because it's visually stunning.
You'll be able to take it for this one?
Be able to take it. It's visually stunning. Toothless is good.
How's the Light Fury?
The Light Fury, I thought it was going to be a lot cheesier, and it really is. But it's like it's still endearing.
Does it work?
Yeah, it works. Yeah, and the ending is very. It's sad. It's happy, but it's sad. It's a tearjerker. But yeah,
Did you cry?
Oh, I teared up. I'm not gonna lie.
Aww.
It's sad. It's because it's like I grew up with the movies, and so like watching this is like the definitive end of the series. It's just like this is a good movie series, except for the second one. I don't know the second one, but
I honestly don't even really remember them.
Yeah, I don't remember the second. I remember the first one because it's the first one. I don't remember what happens in the second one. I just remember
other than what happens to his dad.
Yeah,
that's like the big thing I remember. He finds his mom.
And he finds his mom. And a lot of people say the second one's better than the first. I disagree. No. Because I don't remember anything that happens in the second one. Even though I somewhat remember them going to like a hidden world-like thing. It's good. It's really fun. I mean, yeah, there's not much else to say. There's anything bad about it. There's the first half. The acting is good. Voice acting. Always with Jay Baruchel, I think. His like honking goose voice I always found funny. Which is like whenever he like Hiccup kind of got more handsome as the series goes on. It's kind of like a weird
to see him talk.
He still talks like a high schooler, but he's like this man. And this is like a honking goose. But yeah, let's see, what's my? I gave it a 7 out of 10.
All right.
I really want to see it.
Because it's a solid finisher. It could have been better because of that first bit, but it could have been a lot worse. It could have been the second one. I mean, I don't hate it. I haven't seen the second one in such a long time, so I maybe it's just I don't remember because I haven't seen it in a while. So, but yeah, this one's great. This one is not one you want to miss. Like honestly, it's really, really good.
Well, that's it.
Yeah,
that's all the movies that have come out in January and February. If you made it to this point in the podcast, thank you.
Yeah,
for sitting through all of it. Our future videos are going to be like discussing just one month. Yeah. This one, we decided that we were going to create this podcast a little too late in the year, and so we had to catch up. So hopefully our podcast won't end up being as long as this one was, or if they do end up being this long, then maybe we'll get to go more in depth with the movies.
True.
But so far, we've reviewed 10 movies, and this is our definitive final verdict ranking of these 10 movies. So in 10th place, with a score of 2, is Serenity.
Oh, yes.
In 9th place, with a 2.7, Velvet Buzzsaw.
Yes.
Tied for 7th, with a score of 3, A Dog's Way Home, and Kim Possible, the movie.
That's the one that you only saw.
Yep.
In 6th place, with a score of 4, Glass. In 5th place, with a score of 4.5, Escape Room. Gosh, we talked about 10 movies, and 6 of them got lower than a 5.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's January and February for you.
That hurts,
In 4th place, with a score of 5.2, is Alita Battle Angel. In 3rd place, with a score of 6, is Happy Death Day 2 You. In 2nd place, with a score of 7, is How to Train Your Dragon, The Hidden World. And in 1st place, with a score of 7.3, is The Lego Movie 2, the second part.
The second part.
So yeah, I think this was a pretty typical January and February for movies.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think the movies that have come out this year are really a good judgment point for how the rest of the year's going to go. Because
the rest of the year's stacked.
Stacked. I mean, we got Endgame coming. We got Godzilla, Us.
Yeah. Well, next month. Let's look at next month.
Let's
What
look at
movies?
next month, yeah.
So we got Greta.
Greta.
That's
that
if you guys
one
want to
looks
see
like a
that.
hoot.
Try to run from Greta.
Captain Marvel.
Captain Marvel.
The Kid.
I don't know what the kid
It's
is.
Billy the Kid biopic.
Yeah, Vincent D'Onofrio
Wonder
directing.
Park.
Wonder Park. This
I have
just
no
weird.
intention to see Wonder Park. But
I'm going to see it.
Have you guys heard
really?
about that
I'll
movie
be the
called
one.
Triple Frontier? It's going to come on to Netflix. The Ben Affleck action movie.
That's
it looks really
that's
good.
coming out the next month. Nancy Drew and the Hidden Staircase.
Why is Sophia Lillis
We're
in
seeing
this?
it. We're
Why
seeing it.
doing
I
I'm
watched
seeing
the
it.
trailer for that this morning. It
I'm
does not
seeing
look
it.
good.
What is it?
I don't know.
Like,
How to Train Your Dragon had the worst trailers beforehand, and that was one of them.
Okay. The Aftermath, which is the Keira Knightley World War II movie.
Yeah.
It looks
boring.
pretty
It's
bland,
pretty bland,
but
yeah.
not terrible.
They kind of show the whole movie.
5 Feet Apart.
I think that looks cute.
Well, I just the
It
thing
looks
that I
like
love
the
about
Fall Guy
it
story.
is that Cole Sprouse and Haley Richardson, like the whole point of that movie is that if they stand within 5 feet of each other, then they'll both die. But the poster of the movie literally shows them like right next to each other.
Come on, they're gonna sell the movie.
Us,
Which is
so
my
excited
most
for.
anticipated movie of the year right now.
Right,
I
yeah.
cannot
I'm so
wait for
excited.
that movie.
The
Beach Bum. I'm excited for
looks
that.
so fun.
That looks so much fun.
I'm not interested, but I may go and see it with you guys.
It just looks like a blast.
The Dirt? I don't...
It's a Motley Crue biopic.
Okay. Dumbo!
Dumbo.
Oh, yeah, Dumbo.
Okay, this could
I'm excited for Dumbo.
this can go
Dumbo.
one of two
Here we
ways.
go,
This can
yeah.
either be great or this can just be a dumpster fire.
I don't know. I think it's just gonna be very middle of the
Think
road.
so?
Yeah.
Well, they have the guy who the screenwriter of the
child-
Transformer
the
movies.
child acting looks awful.
In Dumbo?
In Dumbo.
Oh, it looks fine.
What?
Yeah.
They're just, that when like Dumbo like flies, they're like they make like no facial expression.
I think Captain Marvel is at least going to be
Oh,
good.
I can't wait for Captain Marvel.
Yeah.
And then I think
I'm excited.
Us is going to be really good as well.
Us looks
Yeah.
amazing.
The rest
Beach
could go...
Could go one of two ways.
You guys should watch that trailer for that movie Triple Frontier. I think you guys
Okay.
would be all over that. It looks great.
So yeah, that's what's coming up next month. We'll probably review most of those at least.
Yeah, the ones
And
that
then-
we care to see.
At least the big ones.
I think we're going to go see also Fighting with My Family. At least I haven't got around to see it yet, so we might lump that into March.
I don't know. Maybe let us know what you think we should do. If we end up missing movies from certain months, should we review them in the next month, or will that just get too confusing with what movies come out?
That might get confusing.
But yeah, that's our current thoughts on the movies that we have already seen for February. We're going to get a podcast out once every month, and hopefully we'll get each podcast out within a couple days of the month starting.
Yeah.
Our goal is to get them out by the 4th of every month, but obviously with schedules and college being in the way, and also like certain months ending on different days. Like it could get a little difficult.
It could get a little wiry, but the 4th.
Yes, we will try our best. Look out for the 4th.
forward for the 4th.
Wow.
Thank you guys for listening.
Thank you for listening. Make sure to leave us a solid review in Apple Podcasts.
Yes, please.
If that's what
Or in the comment section on
Wherever
YouTube.
this is.
Wherever this is going, leave us some solid.
Yeah, we don't even know where this is going to end up yet.
Smash that bell if you smash that bell. If it's on YouTube, subscribe or download. Yeah, give us a 5-star.
Yes. Thank you guys so much for watching. Peace out.
Bye.
See ya.